All right, everybody, welcome to the All Heat Team Call. End of May. Woo! How are we ending the month, everybody? Let's see. How are we ending the month? Strong, man. We are ending strong. So this is the All Heat Team Call, and we are just having so much fun. I can hardly stand it, and I'm really excited to have you meet Christen Hilmer, who's a brand new national marketing director. And if for those of you that may be new on the call tonight, I'm Nikki Cotton. Wave Chris. Chris is my husband. We've been with the Juice Plus company for 27 years. We were on a call earlier tonight, and he said between us we had 54 years experience, and I kind of shook my head. What? Oh yeah, if you add those two numbers together. So it doesn't take, you don't need to be able to be a math whiz to get to be 100 Club. You just need to follow the system. And I know that that's part of what Kristen's going to tell us. Let me just tell you a little bit about her background. She has a bachelor's degree in kinesiology. She opened up her own massage practice, and in 2014, she was introduced to Juice Plus. In 2016, she decided to get serious. And in 2018, she walked the stage as a national marketing director. And I know she has a lot to share with us tonight. She's also an outdoors enthusiast. She said if it has skis, she's going to be on it. If it's hiking, she's going to be climbing it. And she waited to get married until after she made NMD. Am I correct on this, Christen? And
I'll tell that story.
Okay, you're going to tell that story, and wait till you hear what she's doing for her honeymoon. I'm going to sneak alongside. So, Christen, I am going to put you on spotlight so we can see your gorgeous face. There you are. And I'm waiting for you to tell your story, and then we're going to have some fun together.
Yes, well, I'm so honored to be here. I really admire the energy that comes from this team and the heart that is here. And so, so I live in the mountains of Colorado, and this opportunity came into my life actually almost 4 years ago. I know Lacey Wheeler has partnered up with your team, and she's my upline. And I was working at a sports medicine clinic, and I knew that I wanted to open my own massage therapy practice integrated with the PT chiropractic realm. So I was doing evening classes, and to pay for that, I picked up a couple lunch shifts, and Lacey happened to sit down at my table on her birthday. I gave her comped her some cocktails. She left me a note, something along the lines of, I really like your energy. You might be interested in these whole food concentrates. Here's my contact. So we laugh about it because we don't really remember how it went, but I replied back to her because I was interested in nutrition. And honestly, I was just grateful for she also left me a nice tip. And I just wanted to thank her for that. And her and I just became friends. Like, I didn't end up ordering till if that was June, I didn't end up placing an order till December, but we just became friends, and she loved on me, and we found that we had a lot of similarities. So just a story of love on people where they're at. And so I signed up, and she had told me, the whole HLP thing. So I figured out a way to have my then boyfriend, and one of my friends was interested. I got my $100 and I was done. I was like, sweet, I'm going to do this Transform 30. For those of you who are new, that's now the Shred 10. But I had a pretty incredible experience on it. I was battling with a lot of inflammation in my body that I didn't actually realize that was the culprit. And I saw increased energy, immunity, a lot of these things that you've heard. We're not a weight loss program, but I had battled with a lot of different eating disorders over the course of that past decade, and I lost like 20 pounds with really not trying. And as Nikki was saying, like, I'm an athlete. Like, that's what I grew up doing. So, and when I was back in the Midwest, I played a sport every season. I was rigorous in how many miles I ran and how many hours I spent at the gym. And I couldn't get those results that I was having now, really not working out that much, because I was opening up my own practice and had to put my energy there. So that was huge. But really the icing on the cake for me was I was also someone who battled with a lot of like anxiety and depression. I used different medications at various points in my life. I didn't want to, but I needed that just to get out of bed. I was in dark places. And so after a handful of months, I also saw myself just being able to be much more resilient without those things. So I went to my first conference, And my mind was pretty blown to see what this really was. So for those of you who haven't been to a conference or who haven't signed up for a boot camp yet, I can't encourage you enough to really make that a high priority, because you don't know what you don't know. You really need to get to one of those things to feel all of these things and to get a clear vision of what we have our hands on. Like, we've got our hands on a winning lottery ticket. This is gold, guys. And so do yourself a favor and really make sure that you invest into something like that, because it'll pay you back. I was going to say tenfold, but the Cottons could probably give you a much more accurate number around that. So I went to my first conference and I came back really excited. But to be honest, I got a couple no's and I got really nervous and I stopped. And I had my priorities and growing my massage therapy practice, where I was making what I thought was a great wage. And for most people, it would probably be a great wage. But it really wasn't until I got to my second conference, because I, at the same time, started really doing some intentional focus around personal change and personal development rigorously. And so with the mashup of my second conference, revisiting what it was I had my hands on and plugging into that consistently, I really started getting serious. So it was January 2016, so just over 2 years ago. That's where I had met Jake Kelly. I met Jamie Kenzie. Jake is my age, and Jamie was going for 100 clubs. So it gave me a clear picture of people who were in similar shoes to me, and I saw them doing this, owning their life. So I thought, if they can do it, so can I, right? We hear that a lot, but it's not cliche. It is so true. So that's where I really started on a track, and I'll dive into a little bit more of like my DMO and what I did. But basically in a 6-month window, our team was able to help enough people get these whole food concentrates into their body that I hired another therapist to take care of my clients. Well, Nick and I went on a 2-month road trip. So I was like 2 months working from my phone, doing my reach outs, doing my follow-ups. And I got back and I just thought, like, holy shit, this is real. Like, my paycheck is growing. I'm really living my life. I'm out climbing. I'm meeting people at the crags. Like, it was just so cool. And it's all energy, right? I knew that my energy was higher and more people were attracted to me because I was being my authentic self. And that's really huge. So I got back from that trip and I got more serious. And so last year, almost exactly, I went full-time with Juice Plus when I hit qualified national marketing director, and I knew I wanted to see a certain number in my paycheck. So I went all in. And then Nick proposed to me in June. So here we are about a month into our engagement, and that was not expected. So to finish off on Nikki's story, this is just a fun fact. I was in my mind thinking, well, I want to be a world traveler, and I just really need to make sure that the man that I'm marrying can go on extended ventures together, and then I'm going to hit NMD. And after those two things, maybe a couple of years down the road, he'll propose. Well, he had a different idea in mind, and he proposed, and we were up in the Dolomites in Italy on, a pretty extended trail run. And that's where I was like, well, I know I'm making NMD happen before our wedding. So we made NMD happen at the beginning of the year. And here we are 30 some days out from our wedding. And then after we get married at the end of June, we're headed to Bali for the month of July. So that is my story in a nutshell. And Nikki, I'll pass it back to you so we can start doing some questions and answers.
Yeah, so I'm curious because one of the things I heard you at one point say was not only do you want to be NMD, but you were focusing on club level. You were focusing on something bigger than just the title. So you had a fair, if I remember correctly, kind of a significant jump at one point from your club level. Am I remembering that correctly? Would
Absolutely.
you share where you started in terms of when you got serious and then where you jumped to? I want people to hear what possibility looks like.
Yeah, for sure. This is huge. So we had been sitting at, I should look at my reports, but it's like I was sitting at a 7 or 8 club for a really long time during my month of Q. And I'll be honest, we hit Q we pushed, and I definitely, it was more of like my team helped, but I made that happen right here. I made that happen, and we fell off massive, like to the point where it was really frustrating to see my pay line that. But I also knew from all this mindset development that I'd been doing, that if I keep those pictures clear in my mind, this is my reality. Like everything that we want is already out there. We just have to get in alignment with that to make it become tangible, right? So we got engaged and spent our month in Europe last summer. And then I got back and I was like, okay, like NMD January 31st, that was clear in my mind, because once we hit a goal, we should always know what we want next, right? But I just felt like, how the hell are we going to come back from this big of a drop? I feel like I've lost my strongest leg. And so but the thing was, is I kept taking care of myself and I just kept doing the work. I kept up with my DMO, my daily method of operation. And I kept doing my reach ups. I kept doing my follow-ups. I kept making sure, like, self-care is so huge. And so in October, we had a new wave of people come onto the team. Because of a little event that was happening that I invited to. Like, we can really get down having events and inviting to them. Those are two of the most important skill sets that are out there. So brought on that wave, and still at like a 7 or 8 club. I did not get to go to the Eltons this past year. And we went from in November, we got back into Q volume. So we were back at 20,000 in Payline for our whole month, for those of you who kind of know the upper tier of the marketing plan. And then in December, I think we got to, we got another 1,000 or something. And here I am, I'm like, oh my gosh, we're getting NMD in January, but how's this going to happen? And I just spoke with my leaders and I really let them hear like my heart. And I think one of the most important things, this was another person who was in that personal change course that I'm a part of. She was just saying to me, so on the team, like, if you want to see yourself at Q, if you want to see yourself at NMD, like, you need to make SC happen. You need to make SC happen, because the quicker you get Christen to NMD, the quicker you get to NMD. So that was a really huge shift in our team, because as a leader, I feel like it can be really hard sometimes to like ask for help. It's really raw and vulnerable and uncomfortable, but it also teaches people that they can do the same thing. So we have to show that. So to bring it back to the numbers side, well, not only did we jump up in Payline in over 10,000 in volume, we actually hit 36,000. And we went from we may have gotten to a 10 club, maybe up to a 17 club, and really keeping a clear picture to lock in 24 club this month. So that's the power of how quickly things can jump. And even when you don't know how, but you just have to keep trusting and believing and building a track record for yourself. Like I did it last time, I can do it again, and keeping those pictures really clear in our minds.
So one of the things that I really hear you say is, when you build off your successes, then it's easier to get to the next success. So sometimes having a really great DMO where you accomplish something is just another reminder in your brain that you set out to do something on a daily method. It gets done, and those take a step, right? So what are and DMO, we like on our team to call it daily magnificent outcomes. So
I love it.
Daily method of operation just did not sound sexy to me. One day I knew
it is kind of lame.
I knew I needed to change my DMO, and I thought that just didn't get me going. So I thought, what could I call it instead? And when I thought about getting up in the morning and having a daily magnificent outcome, it got me charged. So what are some of the things that you do on a daily routine that, number one, at the end of the day, you can feel successful, so it builds on success, but what are your main things that you focus on day to day?
Yeah.
How do you do it? How do you focus on it?
Yeah. So is your team using Teamsy at all? Is that something that's...
We're talking about it a ton. We have a webinar scheduled next week, so we are totally talking about it, but you're welcome to talk about it. Totally.
So I'll hold that thought. I'll come back to it. So for those of you who are, newer to this, or those of you who are just looking for a fresh start, when I started sharing my story of at the beginning of January, in that 6-month time period, we really pushed. What happened was I I planned out my daily magnificent outcomes and what that looked like. And so I knew in my mind, you know, we hear these numbers and the 80-20 rules and all of that. And so I just said, I started off with 5 outreach outs every single day. So this is what it looked like. I would wake up, and I really encourage everyone to like sleep with your phones on airplane mode. 1, the frequencies, you don't want to mess with that. 2, it's just like good for your brain to not wake up and the first thing you see is like a million notifications, or maybe you're not seeing the notifications that you want to see. So keep that off, get in alignment, whether that's prayer and devotion, meditation, exercise, I don't care what it is, but you need to make sure that you're doing that for yourself. And for me, that's what I do first thing in the morning. And then I flip on my phone, and I am saying this out loud because I need to make sure I'm still checking myself. It's so easy to reply to all these things that we're seeing. But when I got really focused, I was like, I'm going to send out I'm like blinder blitz. I'm going to send out my 5 messages right away with intention, because I've just been in this like heart space. And then I can follow up with all the other messages that I need to catch up on. So that's part 1. Reach out right away. And one thing that I really like doing is I would set a timer for like 10 minutes, because then it really just got me focused on like, I've got 10 minutes, just get it done. Because this was when I was doing it more of like a part-time thing, right? Then the follow-ups. So set, a timer for 15 minutes, set a timer for 20 minutes, whatever that means for you. And then my third part I was intentional Facebook stalking. So that's when I was going through, and there's actually a really cool thing. You know what? I might show you guys this right now. Let's see if I can pull up in Facebook. So I didn't know about this then, but I know about it now. So let me quickly, and maybe some of you do know about it, but I have a feeling there's a couple of you who don't. So on Facebook, this is a great time saver, okay? So what you want to do is, if you go over to friend lists, you can create a list. So here's mine, prospects, celestial headhunters. But create a list of whatever you want that to be. Dream team. Okay? So what you do is you can start adding people's names to it. And what happens is you add 10, 20, 30, 50, 100 people to that. Then what happens is when you click on that, and you can do this also I've got it for my team, I've got it for my customers. So when I click on that, I can see, oh, these are my customers have posted these things today. So this is, I can go love on them in ways that aren't Juice Plus. Okay. So same thing let's see if I can go back to it.
Ooh, that's amazing.
Right? I was like, thank you, Facebook, for making this easier. So I would intentional Facebook stalk, and I can go in here, and I always, this might seem silly, but I always use, one of these 3 things. Because people love to see that emotion behind it. And if you can even add a comment, it's that much better, getting them to see you. So I would spend 15, 20 minutes intentional Facebook stalking. And now that you know about this friends list, your life just got even easier. And then my step 4 of the day was creating that list of 5 people for the next morning, so that I could send a prayer to them, so that I could be intentional about it. And so that I wasn't waking up in the morning going, crap, who am I going to reach out to today? Right? How many of us do I'm still guilty of that sometimes now. I'm listening and I was like, this is how I built it. I need to go back and do some of these things a little bit more intentionally. And on that, so basically what I started having success. And so you pick the number, but I moved it to 10. And so I just started doing that 10, 10, 10, and my traction grew massively. So when I was on that road trip, it was really easy to keep up with follow-ups and communication and that sort of thing. So that really was my DMO. And now you guys are going to hear more about Teamsy next week, it sounds like, but it makes it that much easier, because think about it, for $1 a day, you have a personal assistant. And so it shows you on there, here, I'll just pull mine up really quick. So it shows you on your dashboard where you're at. So I put in a certain goal that I want a financial goal that I want to meet. And I encourage you all to put at least 6 figures in, because everyone wants to make 6 figures and beyond. And if you don't put it there, then you can't you can't get there. So go big is what I'm trying to say. And so what that does is like, it tells you, so it looks like I have 3 prospects left to reach out to and 1 customer. And so it gives me a list of prospects. And then I just go over here and I say, I sent them a Facebook message about, whatever it is. And then you go ahead and you log it over here in the corner and it bumps you down to 8. So that way you can see if you hit 100% each day. And it really makes sure that you're doing follow-ups and you're doing invites and adding new people. I think that that's the huge part now where I'm at. Like, I created that list of 500 people, but now I'm at the place where I'm really excited about building my frontline again. I've kind of been in like helping my team build, and now it's time for me to be doing what everyone else is doing. And I'm so excited about some of the new reps that I have coming on, and we're actually doing like a singing bowl thing tonight. That's why I was a couple minutes late, but that's what we have to do, is plug into the things that we love and go find new people as well. So that's where I'm at with DMO, or daily magnificent outcomes.
Yeah, daily magnificent outcome. So I'm really looking forward to doing the Team Z as well. I really appreciate you. We're hearing about, it's like it's gotten the tipping point. Everybody's talking about it. So really,
yeah.
So then what? The next thing. Oh, I forgot what's on my thing. I forgot what I was going to ask you. Hang on. Well, there we go. You talked a little bit about the other 2 things. I think you already talked about mindset. I think that's what got you where you are. And the last thing is, how do you and your team use connection calls? How valuable are they, and how often do you use them, and when do you use them, and what do you use them for?
So basically, right when we sign somebody up, we do an orientation call right out the gates. And in all reality, we go to the mission-driven model and pull up the checklist. I know some things have been modified, so I need to, but the checklist.
It still works.
Okay. But that checklist, and we just, in a 3-way phone call, we let them see that right away in a 3-way phone call, or a Zoom call. We always use Zoom because it's just something about your face and your smile, and they can connect with you in a different way than they can over the phone. I feel like we have a lot more closing calls when we do Zoom versus the phone. And then they're that much closer to becoming a team member too, right? Because they've got a tool in their tool belt. They know how this works. But basically what we do is, when we set them up, we do that orientation call and run through the checklist. And then one of the things on there is to set up 3 events. So right away, we make sure that they put a Freedom Revolution call on there. And on that orientation call, this is huge, guys. We sit down with them and like write 5 to 10 scripts with them and hold their hand and have them send them out. Because a lot of times people will be like, okay, I'll send them out. And then what do? They get scared and they don't do it. So really holding their hand and creating that with them, making sure that they know, like, this is what we do. It's okay to feel nervous. This is one of the hardest steps, but just trust me, this is going to be really exciting. And then from there, those other 2, or depending on what they have, we set up what we call a health consult call. So connection calls, it's just a fancy word to say a 3-way phone call. But we say, who would be interested in the product? Although we want to lead with the business, it's important to help these people get some customers off the get-go and for them to be educated too. So we set up a script, and I'm happy to share this with you, Nikki. Let me see if I can really quickly. Good thing you guys can't see what my computer looks like and my house and my desk. Here we go. I can always find it. It might not be pretty, but this is kind of something. This is from my sister, so you can hear some millennial in this. But hey, girl, my health food agency sponsor, or whatever you want to call it, is doing free health consultations this month, and I thought of you because I know how important health and fitness are to you. I know how you're going on that trip soon. I know how you're looking for a new way to, whatever it is. She's got free grocery guides, cookbooks, smoothie recipes, and accountability groups. No idea if you'd be interested, but if I got you an appointment, would you want to check it out to see if it's for you? So we help them send this out to at least 2 people in addition to that Freedom Revolution call to help get them some customers and get that HLP going, right? And what we do is from there, last thing I'll pull up here, I think, is we bring them on that call and I get to know them. I just ask, thanks for joining us. We're excited to see how we can help you today. What are areas of your health that you're really proud of? And what are a couple areas that you want to see improvements on? So once they say what they want to see improvements in, it's just 5 slides. And you guys have seen these slides in the Freedom Revolution. So we just pulled things from there and shortened it down. So I explained, the 7 to 13 servings, the size of our fist. I make them hold up a fist and really make sure that they understand that and that they didn't eat that today or yesterday or tomorrow. And then we go into like the Shred 10 guidelines. So this is the program that we use. What on here would be easy for you? What would be challenging? And then we explain, like with the Shred 10 program, this was the story of my life for 10 years. This is what happens when we're putting 45 plants in our body every single day. Like these scrubbing bubbles scrub us out and it's easy to maintain. We explain the difference between a multivitamin and like the food, what we are, and then explain how Juice Plus is made and the varieties that are there. And then at the end, I just say, I've given you a lot of information. What questions do you have? And if they don't ask price, I make them. I make them, on a scale of 1 to 10, from get over your damn self. I love that. Like on a scale of 1 to 10, 1 being you want to hang up on me right away. 10 being you want to order like yesterday. Where do you lie? And then when they answer, 5 or 6, I ask what sort of information they need to make an educated decision. And then 7 through 10, we say, okay, so we've got our next shred starting here. And whatever day it is, I make it sound like it's perfect. Oh, in 3 weeks, that's great. We're going to be able to introduce you to be able to get all these 45 plants in really easily and plug you in. And then when the price comes, I ask them, if you were to go to the grocery store and buy 1 organic orange and 1 organic apple, what would that cost you? And usually people say between $3 and $4 for 2 pieces of fruit, which is true. And then I ask them, what's a tub of lettuce cost? A tub of spinach, right? Some greens. And usually it's $4 to $6. And so I make them get over the $6 or $7 marker. And I hold up my 4 bottles of the capsules and I hold up the 2 shakes and I say, can you believe for only $7.50 a day? And at this point, they know products come in a 4-month supply. I've explained that. For only $7.50 a day, you can get in 45 plants and have a meal and a snack. And how does that resonate with you? And I let them talk. But we get a lot of people where we have a conversation and we can close things down right then and there. So that's what a lot of our 3-way phone calls look like initially as an event to get people educated. And then the thing is you do a handful of these with your new people, they can duplicate them really easily and it empowers them.
Wow. So I don't think I've ever seen so many texts come to any one call that we've ever had. So I can only blame that on you. And I've learned that I'm a blamer. So I can only blame that on you, your energy, your desire to help everybody. It's really great. I'm already having people say, I want to watch this again. Don't worry, this gets recorded. All of our calls do. They all go on our Heat YouTube channel. It's 6:30 and we normally end right at 6:30. But I am wondering, if I open it up to gallery view, if I can just take 2 short questions from people. If anybody,
I've got 2 minutes. I've got a team call, but I'm going to have my sister sign on.
Or you should know. You know what? If your team call's starting now, we're good to go.
Okay. If you guys have questions, though, feel free. I don't have a ton of time. Let's be honest. But if you can compile some things, I'm happy to box back for it to be passed amongst the team. I'd be more than happy to do that.
So what I am going to do, though, is put it on gallery view, and I am going to unmute everybody.
Great job.
Unmute all. And I want you guys to
Thank you. Thank you.
That was wonderful. Thank you.
Kristen, you rock, girl. Well done.
Appreciate it very much. Thank you. God bless you all.
Thank you.